childhood.
Kansas City Royals.
Yeah.
It's really ridiculous. We saw something like this in the 1950s. I think it might have been 59 or 60 when the fans were the only vote for the All-Star Game. And 7 Cincinnati Reds were voted into the starting lineup. And Commissioner Ford Frick stepped in and said, that ain't happening here. You're stuffing the ballot box, and a lot of those guys should not be starting in the All-Star Game. So he pulled a couple of Cincinnati Reds from the game.
That's not nice.
And put Willie Mays and Hank Aaron into the starting lineup instead.
Just assuming they're worthy of it.
Well, I mean, now there are some Kansas City Royals that are getting votes that absolutely don't deserve votes. For instance, Alex Gordon is not having a particularly good season, and Alex Rios hasn't even played all year. Yet they're number 2 and number 4 in the All-Star balloting for outfield.
Sure.
Neither one of those guys should make the All-Star team. They've got a shortstop, Alcides Escobar, who has an on-base percentage of .293.
Oof.
There are shortstops that have higher batting averages than his on-base percentage. He shouldn't be starting in the All-Star game. So what do we do, Ben? I mean, do we continue to let the fans have a vote? Fans, by the way, fans are allowed up to 35 votes as individuals. But in Kansas City, they got the computers lined up everywhere where you can go and vote, and they're pushing it on the broadcast. They're pushing it in the newspaper. So the Kansas City fans are responding.
Yeah,
and
it's kind of like Chicago 1960, right, Les?
With the mayoral elections?
The Kennedy election, yeah. People who
people are voting 35 times.
Yeah, exactly. It's a slippery slope, right? Because like you mentioned, Ford Frick comes in and says, you're not an all-star, you're not starting, we're going to put this future Hall of Famer in there instead.
And you want to keep the fans involved.
Right.
But to what extent?
Exactly. Do you say, hey, Royals fans, we love you coming to our stadiums, paying money, buying Major League Baseball jerseys, but you dropped the ball with Escobar, and now we're not putting him in the All-Star game, and we're going to make you look bad. It's kind of, in a way, it's saying, hey, fans, we don't like your participation.
Yeah, and that's what you're right. It's a slippery slope. It's a real dilemma for baseball. But if 7 Kansas City, nobody wants to see 7 Kansas City Royals in the All-Star game. Especially look.
I'd rather see old-timey Royals.
Mike Moustakas. Okay, he's hitting for a nice average this year. He's well over 300, but he's got 5 home runs and 18 RBIs for a third baseman.
Yeah, come on.
Those aren't even good second baseman numbers these days.
Those aren't even good bench player numbers.
Josh Donaldson of Toronto. 16 homers and 43 RBIs. He's losing in the voting to Mike Moustakas?
No, exactly. And then you go down the list. I mean, you look at the shortstop. It's rather
the catcher,
frustrating.
Salvador Perez, having a nice season. I know this because he's on my fantasy team.
Here we go.
But Stephen Vogt of Oakland is having a much better season at catcher.
Right.
Eric Hosmer, first baseman for the Royals. I think he's hitting 300. He's got some decent power and RBI numbers, but he's nowhere near as good as Miguel Cabrera.
Right. Do any of these guys even deserve less to start?
Yeah.
Any of the 7?
I think you can make a case for Perez. I think you can make a case for Hosmer, but not a great case.
But what we're doing here is we're making a case for the fans. We're making a case for those who care about their team and vote 35 legal times and who knows how many illegal times, and they get their favorite players out there. Yeah. It's tough for the league to say, we want you as fans, and then, you're being too much of a fan.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a good one here, okay? Your favorite team is the St. Louis Cardinals.
Sure.
The Cardinals fans come out in droves and vote for the All-Star team in droves. And they love to put their own boys in there. 4 St. Louis Cardinals are leading the National League voting at their respective positions.
Right.
One of them is the third baseman, Matt Carpenter,
Sure.
who last year had a great season. This year, not so much. Who would you, a St. Louis Cardinals fan, vote for? Matt Carpenter or Nolan Arenado?
Well, the only thing that makes it tricky, Les, is that Carpenter's hitting better now. He's over 300. I think he's towards 310. But it's a great question. I mean, it's a Trout Harper
Be
thing.
Objective here. Don't be a St. Louis Cardinals fan. Be objective. Who deserves to be starting at third base?
I think Carpenter's a better player.
And we should throw Todd Frazier into that mix for Cincinnati. Sure. And the game's in Cincinnati, and he's having a really good season.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. The thing that guarantees Arenado at least makes the team is that Colorado has to have one representative.
Yeah.
So he's going there.
It's either him or DJ LeMahieu.
Gosh, can you? Yeah, but I love Arenado, and I mean I think if I had to have one guy or the other, I'd rather have Matt Carpenter on my team than Nolan Arenado this season.
Really?
This season, yeah. Look at his stats. They're not as bad as you think.
I have looked at his stats.
They're not as bad as you
He's
think.
only hitting for better average than Arenado. He's not knocking in as many runs, nowhere near. He doesn't have as much power. And you got to include the defense, don't you?
What's today,
But
June?
wait.
Yeah,
Who's better, Arenado or Carpenter at third base?
Well, Arenado's better than any fielder ever at third base. So yeah.
And you're still voting Carpenter?
Yep.
You're a jerk. That segment's sponsored by Davidson's Liquors. Fans of the Sports Show can get $10 off any online order of $50 or more at davidsonsdenver.com. You have to use the promo code SportsShow10, the number 10. This offer is good for online orders only. They can deliver to your house.
What?
Yeah, they deliver. Or you can go and pick it up at the store. But if you're going to order it this way, you got to do it at davidsonsdenver.com and use the coupon code SportsShow10. Really? Really? Carpenter over Arenado?
Did you watch the playoffs last year?